Welcome back to the podcast. For those who are new, we are Read Between the Lines. Today we're going to be talking about the top 4 most asked questions. So let me kick us off by answering the first one. What exactly is organizational behavior, and why does it actually matter in a company? At its core, organizational behavior, or OB, is the study of how people act within organizations. It looks at things like motivation, teamwork, leadership, communication, and even the culture of the workplace. Basically, it's about understanding people at work, not just as individuals, but also as part of groups and as part of the bigger company system. Why does it matter? Well, companies aren't just machines. They're made up of people, and people bring different personalities, needs, and ways of working. If a business doesn't understand or manage those dynamics, you end up with a low moral, poor teamwork, high staff turnover, and even lower productivity. On the other hand, if a company pays attention to organizational behavior, it can create a positive culture where people feel motivated, supported, and more likely to perform at their best. For example, think about a manager who understands motivation theories. Instead of just throwing money at employees, they might also recognize that people want recognition, opportunity to grow, or a sense of purpose. That's OB in action, using insights into human behavior to improve performance and satisfaction. So in short, organizational behavior matters because it helps companies balance people and performance. It's what turns a group of individuals into a motivated team working towards the same goal.
Question 2 of the day. I want to talk about the importance and effects of linking individuals in a workplace, especially through 2 ideas, person-job fit and person-organization fit. Let's start with person-job fit. This is about how well a person's skills, abilities, and interests match the demands of their job. For example, imagine a company hires someone who's really good at problem solving and enjoys working with numbers, and they place them in an accounting role. That person will feel confident, motivated, and capable because the job matches what they're naturally good at. But if the same person was placed in a sales role, where they would need constantly network and push for deals, they might struggle, feel stressed, and even lose interest in the job. That's why person-job fit is so important. It leads to higher productivity, more job satisfaction, and less chance of burnout or quitting. Now moving on to person-organization fit. This is about how well someone's values and personality align with the culture of the organization. For example, think of a company that really values teamwork and collaboration. If they hire an employee who also enjoys working with groups, sharing ideas, and helping colleagues, that employee will feel like they belong. But if the employee prefers working alone and doesn't like constant collaboration, they may feel out of place, even if they're skilled at their job. When there's a good fit, employees are more engaged, loyal, and willing to go the extra mile because they believe in the company's way of doing things. So when both person-job fit and person-organization fit come together, workplaces really thrive, employees enjoy their roles, and they stay longer, and they perform better. But when the fit is missing, it often leads to stress, dissatisfaction, and higher turnover. That's why linking people to the right job and the right organization is such a powerful tool. It creates a healthier, happier, and more productive workplace for you.
Okay. Question 3. The influence of perception on individual decision-making and judgment within the workplace. Perception refers to the process by which individuals select, organize, and interpret sensory information to give meaning to the environment. Perception can often be biased. Perceptual biases are one of the significant ways that perception influences judgment. For example, the halo effect is a cognitive bias in which an individual's general opinion of something affects how they view other unrelated features. Then stereotyping, to have a set idea about what a particular type of person is like, especially an idea that is wrong. Confirmation bias. That is the tendency for managers or staff to ignore evidence that challenges their preconceived notions in favor of information that confirms them. Last, people who have selective perception may ignore crucial elements when making decisions, since they only focus on aspects that catch their attention. For example, a manager only notices when an employee arrives late, but ignores all the days the employee comes early or on time. Because of this selective focus, the manager wrongly concludes the employee is always late. A workplace example: consider a manager selecting one of 2 workers for promotion. While employee B is a less outgoing, yet consistently provides excellent work, where employee A is fairly talkative in meetings. Because of the halo effect, the management chooses employee A for the promotion because they believe their confidence indicates leadership potential. But in reality, employee B might have been a more suitable candidate in terms of intelligence and long-term achievement. Consequences for this perceptual error. The company runs the risk of promoting an inappropriate individual, which could demotivate neglected staff members and decrease the efficiency of the team. Employee B's motivation and dedication could decline because he feels undervalued. Repeated perception errors over time can produce bias-driven organizational cultures that lead to high employee turnover, conflict, and reduced confidence in the evaluation of leaders. Perceptual errors affect recruiting and promotions, but they also have a deeper impact on motivation and the fit between individuals and their jobs. If employees feel that decisions are biased or unjust, their sense of belonging and involvement suffers. This links perception to more broad organizational behavior themes, such as the dynamic work environments, equity, and trust.
I think the best way to wrap this up is to look at the bigger picture of why organizational behavior is so important for the future of companies. We've spoken about what OB actually is, how it influences leadership, teamwork, and motivation, and how it affects employees' experiences. But at the end of the day, organizational behavior is really about connection. It's about recognizing that every policy, every structure, and every decision ultimately impacts people, and people are what make an organization succeed or fail. When companies invest in understanding and applying organizational behavior, they're not just managing staff. They're creating an environment where employees feel valued, inspired, and a part of something meaningful. That's when innovation happens, when teams pull together, and when performance really grows. So to put it simply, OB matters because it makes the workplace more human. And when people feel supported and motivated, businesses do not just survive, they thrive. That's all from us today. Thank you for listening to our discussion on organizational behavior. We hope it gave you some insights on how understanding people at work can transform not just individual experiences, but entire companies. Thank you.
Thank you.